Here is my calendar for the week. You can see in purple here, I booked 26 sales calls and appointments for my business just in this week. And in this video, I'm going to give you a few strategies which can show you how you can actually do the same as well. And if you're watching this video, you're probably in exactly the same situation that I once was, where you are incredibly frustrated with client acquisition. Anything to do with lead generation, you're probably sick to the back teeth of it. For good reason, because I used to basically get so frustrated that I couldn't book calls. First of all, then when I could book calls, I couldn't do it consistently. And then when I could do it consistently, the people who would show up to the calls, like they had no interest in buying whatsoever. All the while I was seeing YouTube videos and, posts in private Facebook communities of people just constantly winning in business. I've just done this much revenue for my business this month. I've got this many clients signed up. And I just used to sit back and think to myself, am I just stupid? Is there something basically that I'm missing here? Is everyone a scammer and they're just lying to me? Or is it just I am not good enough and this is actually really easy to do? And I'd see a person who'd start a business one month and by the next month they'd booked way more sales calls than I had in the entire 6 months I've been doing it. And honestly, it was like super frustrating. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, am I just a failure? Am I just destined to not be very good at this? Anyway, a few years later, hundreds of books later, thousands spent on courses and mentors, I finally understood sales and marketing, and I'm pretty confident I can go out there now and fill my calendar pretty quickly with the techniques and strategies that I've picked up. And what it really comes down to is a few simple things. The first of which is that sales, marketing, getting things in for your business, getting revenue through the door, getting clients through the door, booking calls, it comes down to numbers, unfortunately. As much as you don't want to hear that, right? But it's not all numbers. You need a little bit of quality as well. So to illustrate this point a bit further, I'm actually going to walk you through an older document I once had that I documented all of my prospecting efforts. The first rule of landing clients and upping those skills I talked about, those sales and marketing skills, is recording down exactly what you're doing, your prospecting efforts. So this is a spreadsheet right here where I recorded every interaction I had on LinkedIn in 2020. It's a partial spreadsheet, so some months it has it and some months it doesn't have any information. But basically what you will see if you look through it is that I recorded every single day from the lead generation to the qualifying to the closing. And the reason I did this is a key reason, so please listen to this if you're trying to, build an agency, if you're trying to, build some sort of coaching business or something like that, some informational education business, right? Is the reason why you have is so you don't get emotional, right? I had a client who came to me once and he had signed up to like this brand new course I'd put out like a week ago, right? And he was like, Rob, I'm not getting any results. I, want to talk about getting a refund. So I said to him, yeah, no problem. But before I give you a refund, let's have a call together and see if I can actually help you with your problem. And he was like, yeah, no problem. So I jumped on this call with him and I said to him, so tell me what you've tried. Tell me, what you've been experiencing. Tell me what you're getting stuck at, show me your messages to people, right? And long story short, he'd only sent 2 messages that week to his ideal prospects. Didn't get a response on either of them. His messages were bad because he didn't really follow the instructions. I'm sure he won't mind me saying, I'm probably watching this right now. But the point of that is that because he wasn't tracking anything, he just sent 2 messages, he felt that things weren't working for him. But if he would have tracked all of the information, all of his inputs, which he would have done in his business, he would have quickly realized that he hadn't have put enough input in to actually get any output, right? But he didn't. And what happens when you don't track things, sometimes you get very, very emotional. So rule number 1 is always make sure you're tracking your outreach. Right here, you can see I was sending 150 connection requests a day. I was tracking my total connection number, right? Even one day I had somebody, I obviously lost a connection, right? I added, though, 252 new connections to the month. I sent 241 new messages. I had positive conversations with 138 people, right? So just over half of the people I sent a message to, I got some sort of response from. That was positive, right? Out of those 138 conversations, I made 17 of them an offer to jump on a call with me. I said, hey, I hear what you're struggling with at the moment. It sounds like I might be able to help. Would you be open to exploring this over a call? Out of those 17, I actually made an offer to. 14 came back to me and said yes. Out of those 14 that said yes to me, 13 of them actually completed the call, so showed up to the call. Sometimes you don't get anybody who actually shows up to your calls, even though like they've said yes, they've confirmed the time, they've been sent reminders, just something that happens. And from there, 13 of those who I had like a quick basic qualifying call with, I determined 7 of them were actually a good fit for a longer call, a sales call. And out of those 7, 4 of them actually had a full sales call with me. All from adding 252 new connections, right? So if you think about this, it's like a funnel, right? The more you pour into the top of the funnel, the more that comes out of the bottom. And this is true with anything in life. The more you put in, the more you get out of the bottom. So if you're not booking any calls at the moment, if you're not getting any results that you want, have a look at what input you're actually putting in. Better yet, track your input. How many daily actions are you doing, right? And so you can see up here, I've not tracked every month this year. I've only tracked probably about 4 months, maybe 3-4 months. But you can see I've sent out 11,000 connection requests to new people, right? And that has landed me 1,000 positive conversations, which has landed me 70 quick calls booked. You see, this skill that I was basically putting together in 2020 has now served me later on, because I've built this skill just thinking I've just got to complete these daily actions, just got to complete these daily actions. And when you complete the daily actions, you end up getting the result. Tip number 2, which I think would drastically help you, is what's working for everyone else might not work for you, right? So I was watching this big YouTuber the other day who's in the SMMA space, and I actually joined his very low ticket program. This dude's an absolute beast. I don't deny he's good at what he does, but the problem is the tips he was giving to close your first few clients, to close clients consistently. As a person who's experienced in lead gen and sales and is quite close to that area now, I don't think they were very good, honestly. And the reason why is the person who was giving the tips is actually too far along in their business to truly appreciate what works at the moment. And this is sometimes what I find in fields where like gurus can come to the top quite easily and get most exposure. So on places like YouTube, the people who've got the most views, you're naturally going to see their videos more frequently than you would see a person who's smaller, right? But the problem is the person who you can see the videos of, because they're most likely getting all the views, they're probably quite advanced with their business. So they're not actually close to the ground floor to understand what's really working right now. For instance, the guy that was giving advice on what you should do, I'm not going to name him obviously, but he was basically saying that you should just, to get a client, you should just message 10 people, right? And asking them if they want to do business with you. And the problem is with that is that in 2022, when everyone's doing that approach, people shut off from it. Now it just goes to the spam inbox of people. And if it doesn't go to the actual spam inbox of people, like the spam filters, it goes to their spam in their brain. And it's just like, no, I'm going to discard this because this message looks exactly like the other 20 messages as well. So the information that you're getting now, yes, it might have been true at one stage, but the person who you're receiving it from, you don't want them to be too disconnected from like what the actual daily actions are needed to basically succeed, because they don't know anymore. The environments have changed. They're just giving their best answer to what they think is a reasonable solution to the problem. Point number 3, know who you're speaking to. A CEO of a 7 to 8 figure company is likely to be a whale client, a person who can pay you the most money for your services. You can charge very well for, right? And have like no problems with. Now close your eyes just for a second. Imagine you are a very high value CEO. Imagine that you have no time at all. You're putting out fires everywhere. You basically don't have any free time to do anything because you're busy running a company. Now imagine you get 10 email pitches a day from random people asking you to do business with them. How likely is it you're going to respond to them? Probably not very likely, because in your head, you're A, too busy to respond, and B, even if you weren't too busy to respond, all these people just want you to basically pay them money for something, right? So you have to understand that depending on your target audience and depending on your niche, you have to change your approach of how you actually approach this person, because you'll just get ignored otherwise, right? Most people, they send out like 1 or 2 messages to their ideal clients and they think, it's not working, they didn't get a response. But A, they haven't tried enough, and B, even if they had tried enough, they might have been approaching wrong, right? So a high-powered CEO who can pay you the most money is not likely to respond to a spammy pitch request who they just feel like a person's after the money. They're also not likely to respond to the far other end of the spectrum, which is those relationship message, hey, how are you? You know, I noticed you did this, blah, blah, blah. They're not likely to respond to those either. And the reason why is they're too busy for that, right? So what you have to do is you have to give them a short, sharp message, which gets their attention, which promises big and makes it look like you're not trying to suck money from them. So the best way to actually do business with a CEO is to pitch them, because they don't have time to read anything else, but to do it in a non-spammy way and acknowledge that they get a lot of pitches. So you might say something like, hey, blah, 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 I can do A, B, and C for you. This will get you X, Y, and Z result. I know you get a lot of these messages a day, and I don't want to be like everyone else. I actually want to stand out a little bit from the crowd. I can get you these results, and when I get you these results, then you can pay me. So pay per result basis. And then you offer them a guarantee. So it's increasing the reward, it's making things very simple for them, but it's also lowering the downside of you just being another money hungry person who knows they're a high value target and actually just wants to extract money from them as well. Likewise, if you're reaching out to more of a spiritual audience, I don't know, what you guys do, but some of you may be reaching out to more business, tech, spiritual, you want to talk in the same words as them as well. I went through a stage where I was pitching life coaches, and what I noticed when I was speaking to them in the messenger is when I started to talk about like their challenges which they're having, all the conversations would just die off, which was very different from the business related niche. The business related niche were focused on like results, what they, the challenges they were having, which are stopping them from getting results. When I was speaking to life coaches, they didn't want to talk about the challenges. All they wanted to talk about is the goals in the future, because that is exactly what life coaches want to do. They don't really want to let any of the pain basically have any weight in their life. So they just try and ignore it and they just focus on the goals instead. It's about being out of the negative mindset and looking only towards the positive mindset. After I lost about 100 sales calls, I actually realized that this was the case for the niche. These guys just did not actually want to talk about anything related to negativity. They only wanted to focus on positivity. So I switched my messaging around, and guess what? I started to book call after call after call. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave me a comment below if you did like it. I'm going to do more of this nitty gritty businessy stuff where we delve into some of your business's problems and actually start unlocking things for you. And leave me a comment if you want to see something like that as well. Take care, have a great one. See you in the next video.